Morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
Me and my friends are having a great time. It's not face to face, it's all online. We're all in our homes, miles away. Love them like my family, what can I say? My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun, we're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you'll never alone.
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Let's have a good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome back to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. We've got people that tune in from all over the place, and we all just love to craft. And so this is a channel where we just kind of hang back and we have some fun, and we do some crafting and sewing and decoupage and just so much more. So if that's something that you're into, then you're definitely in the right place. Let's see who we have with us today. Good morning, Faker McFake. Awesome, another amazing day. Yay! Let's see here. We've got Jenny Owens. Good morning. We've got Connie Torres. Good morning to you. We've got Melissa Hutchkins from East Texas. Let us know where you're from. Now, I'm tuning in from Miami, Florida. And yeah, it's pretty hot and humid over here. And I know you guys are getting some nice cooler weather. So I'm a little jealous of all the seasons that are changing over there. But we're getting a little bit of a cool weather here, so it's not too bad. Awesome. You've got Nancy from Boston. Good morning to you. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Good morning. We've got Becky from North Central Texas. Awesome. Good morning to you. We've got Robin's Quilt Basket. Good morning. Oh boy. We've got Scrapping Like a Lady. She's at the airport leaving California and heading back to her home in Texas. Yay. Well, safe travels, and I really hope you don't get any of those delays that I've been seeing in the news. Good morning, and I hope we can entertain you until your flight is ready, right? Let's see. Cheryl, good morning from Wisconsin, and Flo from North Carolina. Awesome. Good morning to you. Hey, Joyce, she's saying good morning to all her crafty friends. And let's see, it's from sunny Richmond, Illinois. We've got Lisa Lilly. We've got Marge Rouge from Wisconsin. Of course, Robin is from Maryland. Let's see, Batita, good morning. Sue, good morning. JB19848 is from Alabama. Joyce is from Philly. Let's see. Debbie, good morning. Quilting with Harriet, good morning to you. Our friends from Canada are here again. Yay! Good morning to you. Yes, Heather, happy Tuesday. Yay! One day off our belt, closer to the weekend. Yay! Alrighty, and Joan from Texas. Oh, Gladwin, Michigan. Let's see. Lake Ridge, Virginia. Good morning. That's Leslie B, Jaws mom. Oh, let's see here. And Melinda from Western Pennsylvania. Okay. I hope I was able to get everyone. If I did miss you, don't worry. I'm constantly checking the chat. And if you ever have any questions or anything, just put them in the chat. So, alrighty. Good morning, everyone. So here we are, yet another day of crafting. And we're here in the morning, and it's going to be a beautiful day on this Tuesday. So the way I like to start my channel, if you haven't kind of been watching along with us, my name is Nancy with Gifts HQ, and this is just the channel that we just have lots of fun with, right? So I like to start my mornings with a little toast. So if you're watching on the replay, maybe it's dinner time or maybe it's lunchtime. Who knows, right? But it doesn't matter. Just grab a cup of whatever it is that you're having, right? Whether it be the breakfast or lunch or dinner, whatever it is, go ahead and raise that glass and raise it nice and high because you're going to have a fantastic day. Or if you're watching in the evening, you're going to have a fantastic evening. So go ahead and grab your cup of whatever it is that you have in the morning, afternoon, or evening. Go ahead and raise it. And if you don't have anything, no worries. I'm going to pour you a cup. So let's go ahead and pour that cup for you. We've got some coffee because, you know, hey, you can have some coffee at any time of the day, right? Or maybe it could be some tea if you want some tea. You can have that too. But let's go ahead and raise those glasses. We're going to have a fantastic day. And I'm hoping if you guys are following me along, I've been struggling with this design board and trying to figure out how I want my tree to look. So I hope that you have a better time than I did trying to figure this out, because there was a lot of changing around back and forth. And we're going to share that with a few of you. So hopefully making decisions will be very simple for you guys today. And I wish that all for you today. Let's raise those nice and high and go ahead and grab a little swivel here. I got some extra ice on mine this morning. Yeah, I don't know why. I just wanted some extra ice. Wanted it to be extra cold today. Okay, extra cold for me, extra hot for you guys. I see a lot of coffee, coffee, coffee. And let's see, nice and hot to take off the chill. And Flo is saying she's got to make doggy cookies today. Oh, your Golden loves homemade ones. Awesome, Flo. Well, I don't know if you know, if you guys watch the Crafty Gemini, I kind of like to follow her too. Her daughter started a business about doggy treats, all natural and things like that. You can check her out. I think that was pretty cool that her daughter is, you know, trying to be a little entrepreneur at a young age. So it's really amazing. I love to see people when they spark up ideas and, you know, they really get excited about something new and they're trying things out that are just a little bit different. So I think they're all handmade. They're like natural doggy treats. I mean, I don't have a dog, so... But support her. I mean, she's a little kid, you know, she's trying to, you know, make her way, and I think it's going to be really amazing. So good luck to Vanessa and her daughter. I think they're doing a fantastic job just starting new ventures out. And if you ever have a new venture and you never know, you know, you got to try it out. Just start it anyway. I would have never been in this situation if I wouldn't have just made the little leap, right? So, okay, guys, awesome. We are ready. You're drinking a smoothie. Oh, Leslie B, I hope it's a healthy smoothie. Awesome. Very good. Okay, so we've got our drinks. Let's go grab our snacks, okay? Let's go ahead and get the food cart. And I think we're going to have maybe a little bit of a drone today because I know some people are just having a hard time getting out of that bed. So let's roll out that food cart because I need everyone to kind of get a little stretch. Go ahead and give yourself a nice little stretch today because we're ready to go and we're ready to craft. So we got to get ourselves nice and stretched out. Let's take that little walk and join me on this little food cart here. And we're going to go ahead and grab all our little snacks. We've got everything on the cart from croissants to cookies and muffins and kale, and carrots are also there for the pickings if you guys are wanting to get something very healthy. And if you want something delivered nice to your nice little warm bed, we'll go ahead and deliver it to you. So if maybe you're having a little rough time today and you want to get that little nice hot coffee delivered to you, the drone is going to bring it over to you. So don't worry, put in your orders. It's all totally free and it'll be there in 30 minutes or less. Alrighty. So I hope you guys are able to grab all of your snacks and you're ready to go because we've got a lot to talk about today. Okay. Yes, we've got our treats, we've got our drinks, and I hope you're in your cozy spot and are ready to watch, or at least a little safe place to watch too, right? Okay. Alrighty, so today we are going to be talking about the project that we're working on this week. And if you haven't been watching, this is all about the QCR Mini Ruler. Okay, this is a ruler that you can purchase. The links are all below. And then we're working off of a pattern that's coming out of this book that works with this ruler. And this book has all types of projects for all kinds of seasons. And I have picked out one. It's one of the very last ones in the back, and it is they're calling it a giving tree. Okay, so let me go ahead and put it on the desk cam here. This is what it looks like, at least in the book. And you can pick out any of your fabrics. You can use scraps that you have in your craft room, or you can get 5-inch pre-cuts if that helps you out. But we're going to be using those to go ahead and cut them out with this nice curve using this QCR Mini Ruler. Now this is the Mini Ruler. They do have the other one that is quite larger, but I think this is just fine. We're going to go ahead and use these, and we've been cutting these out and cutting our fabric. So today it's all about assembly. And this is one of those projects where a design board really comes in handy. If you have one of those huge design boards that you can put on your wall. I've seen some that come down, you know, they've got like the little projectors. I mean, this is probably dating me, but way back in the day when you were in class, you know, the teacher used to come out with a little projector and you had a little overhead thing. Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore, but anyway, you can have those projectors that kind of come down and bring down your design board, and then it kind of goes away. They're a little pricey, but you could probably do a homemade one, I bet, of some sort at least, right? Anyway, if you have something like that, you know, I was even thinking, hey, you can put a rod on the top there and then just put like a big roll of batting, and then you can just kind of pull it down and then you just kind of roll it back up when you don't want to, you know, when you don't need the design board. Wouldn't that be pretty cool? Be out of the way, up, you just kind of roll it. I don't know. Things that go through my head, right? These are like little projects for Mr. H. Oh, and speaking about Mr. H, he's still not 100% there, but he has gotten a lot better. He's able to kind of get up and walk a little bit, but not too far before the pain starts kind of pulling in. So, you know, it's on and off. So I'm hoping maybe, I don't know, maybe by the end of this week, he'll be all good. I don't know. It's kind of touch and go. We just don't know. We just don't know. Yeah, Heather said the world map pulled down. Yeah, you remember that? They used to, you know, now it's history class and they pulled down this big map, right? So think about something like that, but instead of pulling down a mat, you're actually pulling down some batting. Wouldn't that be cool? And then it's kind of out of the way, up. You could probably do that with one of those pressure rods, shower curtains. Or maybe if you're doing a lot of batting, it's going to be kind of heavy. So you may want something stable, maybe some little hooks on the side. They're like little U shapes. And then you kind of just hang the rod on here. And then you just kind of put your batting and pull it down, pull it back up whenever you need it. So anyway, those are just ideas that you could do in your craft room if you have that kind of space. Since I'm in the middle of kind of like wanting to move out of this craft room into the bigger craft room, and all of the construction that's going on in that other room that kind of got put to a halt as Mr. H now is kind of out, and I'm not able to do a lot in between. So things are kind of like on hold for right now. But, oh, Cindy says, my design board is the living room floor. Yeah, yep, did that too. Yeah, we did that too. And at first I kind of laid it out on the floor to kind of give myself an idea. And then I said, okay, now I have to figure out how I was going to show it to you guys. So what I ended up doing is I have these little design boards, and these I got them from Temu actually, and they're small, right? But you can kind of put them together, and then that will make up the whole idea is that these will go on your wall, and you just kind of put them together and you end up with one big design wall. So that's what it's supposed to be used for. And I just kind of use them for my project as like my project boards, but it's also my design board. So it's a little bit of both, right? So that's kind of what I've used. So I've laid them out across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 design boards, because that's what it took to kind of show how big this project is and be able to really show you guys what it looks like. So let me try to lay this out as best I can. So we've got the top of the tree here, and these are these two together, and I've kind of shifted them a little bit here. But they're not exactly, the placement is not exact 100%, but I wanted you guys to get the gist of it. So if I kind of put these two boards together, you'll see the top of the tree a little bit here. And of course, you're going to see the two here. You're going to have the star up on the top, and I haven't cut out the star yet, so we'll kind of do that last. But I've got my two tops here. And then what I decided to do, because this is kind of all scrappy, but I wanted to give it some type of somewhat of a pattern, I guess. And let me see if I can bring the other one. I'm going to turn these around for me. Hold on. Let's see if I can just turn these. I'm going to have to bring this around this way because I had it facing me. I need it to face it towards you. So let's bring this around. Here we go. Okay. So, you know, I did this yesterday, and I pulled it so far back that then it fell, and all the pieces just went everywhere. Yeah, it was not fun. It was not fun. It just was not fun. How many times did that happen to you? Your design board just kind of fell, or all your pieces, you know, you had them all up, and then you leave the room, and you come back, and they're all on the floor. Yeah, that was me. That was me last night. So that's okay. We got it. Okay, so this is going to be the top, and then this is the middle, and then I've got the bottom right underneath it. So I'm going to see how I can do this here. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, I think, well, okay. Work with me here, Mr. H. Are we doing the overhead? Okay. If we're doing the overhead, this is probably as best as I can get. So you can see, hopefully this doesn't fall on me. Let me pull it back a little bit. Okay, so you've got the top of the tree here, right? And then I've got the two here in the middle where the patterns are actually the same. Here I kind of alternate. Here they were the same. Here I alternate it, and I kind of flipped. You know, if this was a darker green, I put the darker green on this side, and then the lighter green here and the lighter green here. So I kind of flipped it that way because I wanted to kind of somewhat have a little pattern where you can kind of step back and see something else. It's kind of like an illusion of what I was trying to get at. And so you'll see it really nicely here with the light greens, because the light greens, your eyes just automatically go to that. So I wasn't too crazy about this, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. So I've got the two here, and then I've got here, and then on the middle, if I can pull this up a little bit, you can see how I've got like the wingspan here and then here. So it almost looks like curve and then curve, like almost like that double, but then this kind of throws that off a little bit. And then I tried to put these floral green pieces. I tried to kind of keep these on the end and alternate those as well. So we've got, you know, the kind of muted type green, and then the florals and the floras, and you know, I kind of alternated it a little bit so it looks somewhat of an organized type of tree, but not too organized. So a little weird there. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take these two off. And then you can see this bottom layer is a little bit harder because this actually spans out even more. So I just have it sitting on top here. And then I've got the tree trunk kind of just sitting here somewhere. So where you can see it more, see how that light green kind of goes out, goes in, and it so somewhat creates a secondary design. And the inspiration was really, if you've ever gone to like the expos or seen pictures of the expos, sometimes they have these quilts that are like these little tiny little squares, and they look like one thing, and then when you kind of step back and you look at it at a different angle, you'll see there's like a secondary image on there. Have you guys seen those? They're so cool to see. Like you can see the picture of, I don't know, an apple or something. And then when you step back, it's actually a picture of a person or something there. And I think those are so cool. It's like those abstract looking type quilts. So I wanted it to kind of be something like that, where it has some kind of a secondary look on it. But yeah, me and Miss Molly, we've been busy. We've been busy. Miss Molly over here. Yeah, she's a champ. She's taking it like a champ. She's my little workhorse. Yes, she has definitely been working. So on here, I was, I was going nuts yesterday, just going back and forth. I put a little stand with like a little kind of semi-design board, and I tried it that way, and then I wasn't sure. I laid it out on the floor, and then I put it on these boards, and then I tried to pick the boards up and put it that way. So there were so many different angles, and then I'd come back 5 minutes later, I didn't like it, and then it was just getting frustrating for me. So I'm not sure if this is it, but this is after all that frustration. I said, you know what? I'm just going to leave it. It's fine. This is how it's staying. It may not be perfect, but it'll be fine. I'll like it in the end. And so, yeah, this is one of those projects that you really have to take your time and you really have to lay it out. Now, what I do wish, like this book gives you 4 different fabrics to work with. I found like 4 is just not enough. I really wanted more than just the 4 fabrics. I think it would have made it a lot more scrappier. I don't know. I think I would have liked it better if it was just a little bit more color in there. So, and that's easy to do. Just gonna add more fabric, right? But I don't have any other greens that'll really look good. So I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. But yeah, if you wanted to really make it scrappy, you can add some more fabrics on here, different textures that, you could use, and then go ahead and just, change that up and add it to it. So I think it's fine. We're just going to go with it because, I may be doing a second one of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with this and then see how it turns out in the end. Because, one thing is when you have it on here, but then when you actually have it sewed up, you may actually like what you ended up with. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So the pattern tells you to do very specific colors and whatnot, and people try to match up the picture, but, you do what you want to do. Play with the fabrics that you have. I don't want to go out and spend money on fabric. I just wanted to use what I had in my stash. So this is what we're staying with, and we're happy with it. So we're ready for the next step here. Okay. So the next step on here is going to be to start pulling all of these together. Now I do still have to also cut out the star. The stars, I'm going to be using just this fabric right here. You don't need too much of it. On this one, I believe you need to cut it out at about 5.5 inch square. So you'll go ahead and use that, and then you're going to use your ruler to make the curve on the star. Yeah, no tree is perfect. Isn't that the truth, right? Chasing perfection is tiring and takes the joy out of creating. Exactly. And it was just getting to me, and then I just said, stop. I said, that's it. I'm done with it, right? You like my fabric choices? Awesome. Well, thank you, Cindy. We're gonna stick with this and see what happens. You know, it's just, I think the main thing to know is that this is that type of design that if you have fabrics that are just too busy, they're really not going to work. It's not going to work because of the curves and the way you kind of look at it. If it's too busy, your eyes are kind of like all over the place. And you really want your eyes to kind of home in on the curves of this whole project. So, you know, be really gentle when you're picking the fabrics. Try, you know, you want the different colors, the different greens, but stay away of anything that has too much of a pattern. Like, I wish this one was a little bit more muted, but I'm fine with it. It's not too bad. This is nice because it is very light. And then some of these others, you know, they're not too bad. So just try to really stick with the different colors that you can get. Try not to have anything that has too many things that are heavy on design, and then really allow it to just kind of show off the curves, right? That's what you really want to see, is the curves on this project. Okay, so we've got the star that we got to cut up. I'm going to go ahead and just do that later on. Let's start sewing some of this. Now, one of the things I highly recommend is when you are doing this project, you want to lay their stuff out, but you also, let me get that little tree trunk out of here. You also want to make sure that after you have gotten your layout all set and done, you want to make sure that you take a picture of your work, exactly how you want it laid out. So important that you take that picture, because if something happens and gets out of place, or you start sewing and you can't remember where something goes, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So do yourself a favor, lay it out, whether it's on the floor, on a design wall, wherever it is that you lay it out, and take a picture of it. Or if you're like me and you have a really small space and you have to do it in pieces, do it like I did. I took a picture of the top, the middle, and the bottom. And that's it. And that's how it's staying, and that's how I want it to be. And so now I'm just ready to start sewing these together. The first thing we're going to do is start piecing all of these little pieces together. I'm going to come back to do the star, and then after we've pieced all of these curves together, then we're going to start piecing the background to it and start doing the rows on here. So right now I'm just going to kind of randomly pick this. What size are my boards? What size are my boards? Let's see. I don't know. It looks like it is about 16 by 12. Yeah, 12 by 16. Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, not too big, not too small. It works for this craft room. So I'm going to move this over here, and Miss Molly, come on over. We got to wake up Miss Molly. Wakey, wakey. Time to wake up. I know it was a late night. I know. I'm sorry. It's just, you know, I can't stop. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab 2 of my pieces. It really doesn't matter because you've got to sew all of them. So it doesn't matter where you start. You want to start on the green or on the end here. I do have the white that also needed to be cut out. So I went ahead and cut that out per the pattern instructions. So I've got that in place. So if you want, we can start with that. And one thing that's important, and let me see if I can move this on top here. There we go. One thing that's important on here, let me scoot Miss Molly over, is when you're starting off to sew these, I like to kind of just use my cutting mat, line up her top and her sides and her bottom to make sure that she's nice and straight. And then I'm going to take my fabric right sides together. So this one's a little hard to find because it is white, but it does have these little dots. And I believe, wow, it's so hard to figure out which side because they both kind of look the same. We'll go with this one. And we're going to want to line this up about a 1/2 inch from that inner curve right here. Okay, so let me see if I can bring this over to the desk cam here, just so you guys could see that. So let me bring this down over here. Okay, so we've got our piece, right? And you're going to make sure that you're nice and straight to your cutting board. And you want this outer curve, or I should say inner curve, and this outer curve to meet. So this is going to be right sides together. And we're going to do about a 1/2 inch from the top here. So just take a 1/2 inch from this top over here, and then just line up this curve right here. Line that up with the inner curve here. And that's how you're going to start. And you can see, let me bring this so my fingers aren't in the way. Right from the start, when you start sewing, you're going to be sewing from here, and you're going to sew short distances. This is not a really long sew, right? This is a kind of sew where you're going to be sewing just a little bit and then adjusting, and then a little bit and adjusting, and a little bit, all the way till you get to the end here. So make sure that you do that, okay? So let me see if I move this a little bit here. Okay. Can you guys see that? Well, I hope you guys can see that. So we're a 1/2 inch from this top right here. We're lined up here on this edge, and we're going to sew only just a tad. Then we're going to stop with the needle down. Make sure your needle's always down. And then you're going to move the fabric, and you're going to line her up. And as you move this fabric, you're going to be pulling on this bottom edge, okay? As you pull it, see what happens here? It looks like it's straight now, right? So I'm pulled it all the way down, and it's almost like you have a straight line to sew on now. And then what you're doing is now you're just adjusting this as you go, and you'll continue to sew this all the way around. And then as you've come to your finish, this will be sewn together, and it'll be on that nice curve right here. Okay, it looks a little weird, and you're thinking, how in the heck is that going to get done? So let's give it a try. I'm going to bring this over to the sewing machine to show you guys. Okay. And let's scoot over, Miss Molly. Okay. So I've got her here. Okay. And I want her at about a 1/2 inch. Let me just come over to my table here for just a second. I'll be right back. There we go. That's about a 1/2 inch from the top, right? And I want to line her up. Of course, I moved her, so hold on. Come on. We want to start her just about there. That's about a 1/2 inch, okay? And I want to make sure that she's nice and lined up, right sides together. And so that's how it's starting off. And it looks a little weird because, yeah, it's crooked here on the bottom because you are sewing on this angle. So it's not going to be like a backwards L shape. If you have it as a backwards L, you are just overcompensating, right? You need to kind of be working with the curve here. And I keep losing my fingers here. Let me just check this because that looks a little low. Okay. Here we go. All right, so I've got my right sides together, trying to position it right on the edge. My fingers are just not working this morning. There we go. That's better. Now I'm going to put it underneath the needle here, and I want to keep this on my 1/4 inch mark here. Remember, we're going to be pulling on this bottom fabric. I'm going to be pulling her, and she's going to straighten up on me. Okay, so go ahead and just put it underneath. If you want, you have that needle up down position. You can put that needle down. Let me just grab the foot pedal, and I'm going to just do a couple of stitches just to hold her in place. Okay, And then I'm going to take this bottom fabric and I'm going to stretch it out. And I'm going to lay my top fabric to be right on that 1/4 inch line, right? So that's what you want to aim for. And we're just going to sew right here up to where my finger is. We're not going any further than that. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to stop there. And then I'm going to stretch this again, bottom fabric, pull it, line this up again. And I'm just going to do a couple more stitches. Nope, hold on. Fingers are slipping today. There we go. And it may not be perfect the first couple times you do it, but then you kind of get used to it. So no worries. Okay, see how mine kind of slipped a little bit there, but that's okay. It'll be fine. It's all going to be in the seam. And I'm just going to keep pulling here and keep lining up. Now, when you get towards this end, you may want to grab a stiletto or something to help you line this up, because it gets a little hard because there's not too much to hold this together with. All right, so I'm going to use this little chopstick here and just hold those pieces together and then just feed it through and let it finish it off. Okay, now you're going to end up with that 1/4 inch seam going all the way around. And it's going to look a little wonky because you've got all these waves in the front here on this other section. See how it kind of just stands up on its own there? But when you kind of lay this flat, you'll see that you're going to have that beautiful curve. And so it makes that curve and it just looks so perfect. And so what you're going to be doing, once you start sewing all of these, you're going to start sewing all of these together on the tree. But then you're going to be trimming them off. You're going to be trimming them off to about 4 inches. So as you do that, that's where all this trimming is going to occur. And in the beginning, you start looking at this and you're thinking, well, I still have all this fabric in between. How does it make that nice point? Right, so now let's go over to the desk cam so I can just kind of show you something from the book, if I can grab it underneath here. Okay. All right, so if you look at the picture on the book, you notice that these points are very, very thin as they are doing the join. So you're wondering, well, we've got this fabric we've just sewn, and that doesn't look like a very thin point. But it's because we're not finished yet, right? We still have to trim it down to about 4 inches, and then you still have to join this to the rows and the other squares that are going to be next to it. And all of that is going to eat away at this seam allowance, right? Because you have about a 1/4 inch seam allowance you're going to lose. Plus you need to trim it. So that's going to get you right to that point. And it's going to allow you to have these really crisp little points in between all of these pieces. And you can really see it on the edges of the tree. You see how they end up with this really thin, beautiful point. That's what you kind of want to achieve in the end, but it's not going to happen until after you've trimmed it and after you've joined the other squares to it. So we'll see that kind of evolve as we go. It's going to start getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and you're going to see how this is all going to be put together. So I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of magical how you kind of see that, you know, do that here. You are brave woman for doing this live. This is a technique that I'd have to try behind closed doors with a sign that reads danger zone. Well, that's okay, you know, and sometimes we're good and sometimes we don't have those good days, and that's okay too, right? You might embroider lights and bulbs on the embroidery machine after you sew it together. Oh, Marge, that would be a great idea. Yeah, or little ribbons too, little bows. You can put, you know what? Get this. Okay, see, between the two of you guys, you have me thinking here. So let's say you do this, and let's say your project doesn't come out perfect. Let's say it came out wonky and you can't join your seams if you're a beginner sewer, and you can't get them to line up right, and you can't get the points to come out perfect. Guess what you can do? You can either add embellishments, maybe little bows and ribbons, and put them on the points so nobody will see them. Or you can go ahead and embroider on them, right? The embroidery would cover any mistakes that you could have here. And you can add little ornaments, maybe little balls here on the end too. You can do that as well. Wouldn't that be so cute? Yeah, you can put little patches on the little ornament bowls, right? Make it really crafty looking. And you've got some space down here, either on the background piece or even on the tree trunk. You can put like the date or the year or a name, or, you know, you can really customize this as well. Or even on the star or up on the top here, you've got plenty of space here to do any type of customization. So, you know, think a little, you know, out of the box, all of the things you can do. But if it doesn't come out the way you want, you can definitely hide it with a lot of embellishments, right? Yeah, buttons would look good. Absolutely. Yeah, buttons, ribbons, embroidery. God, so many things that you can get, you know, that would really make it look cute. Little snowflakes. Yeah, you can add little snowflakes here and there, right? Now, you don't want to overpower it with like tons of ornaments. It's not a real tree. But, you know, that would add to it to make it look a little bit different and give it some dimension as well, right? So you could do that too. But if, let's say, that didn't happen and it didn't come out right, you can always kind of cover those up with little pieces. And that kind of takes away from the visualization of seeing and eyeing in right on the actual mistakes on yourself. Presents under the tree with your scan and cut. Oh, that would be amazing. Yes, you can definitely put some things under here. Oh yeah, good thinking. God, that's great. I wonder, I'll have to check my scan and cut. I'm sure there's been built-in designs on there that are pretty cool. You could really do that down here. That would be really neat. And just, you know, adding a little dolly, a little whatever it is that you have, right? That would be so cool. Yeah, I love it when you guys, you know, give me ideas. I mean, my mind can just go and go and go and go. And I could be like on this all day. And I'll just have tons of stuff. And I'll make multiples of it. Like I could just be here all day doing that. But definitely, or guys, you know, we used a white background. But you don't have to use a white background. You can get one of those starry night skies and then put like little stars in the background, or maybe you have a panel or some kind of fabric that has that kind of look to it. That would be really nice. Do a little nighttime one. And it doesn't have to be green. You can do those blue trees, pink trees. You can do any color tree that you want. I mean, it's your project, right? Just do anything you want with it. But we started off with this tree, but man, this can really be a lot. I mean, you can really get creative with this and can really go to town. There's just so many options that you can do with this. But okay, so we're kind of getting off topic here. So yeah, I can go on and on with ideas on this thing. So let's go ahead and set this to the side here. I'm going to put the book over on this end, and make sure that as you start doing these things, right? And let's see, where did I put my other piece here? See, this is where you gotta be careful here. Okay, we've got one, we've got two, and I lost my other one. There it is, here it goes. This is what I want, are the two toppers. And I'm gonna leave these down here. So this is my tree topper, or top part of my tree, I should say, not tree topper. So after you're done sewing your piece, you're going to want to go ahead and put it back in. And I've already kind of lost like where this is from, right? And that's the hard part, is once you start getting sewing, then it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. Okay, here it is. This is where this goes. See, so you got to make sure you put them back. As you sew them, put them back, because then you lose track. So yeah, So here's our first piece that I went ahead and sewed. I'm just going to go ahead and do these multiples. And then I'm going to probably just do this 2 design boards, just get the first top of my tree, and then we'll do some trimming. So let's kind of continue to sew some more. Let's go ahead and grab the second one here. And I'll scoot these over to the side. But this is a project that it can be so easily confusing because you can get off track really easy. And you want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So just go ahead and when you're putting this together, make sure that you have your design board by your side. Don't move it around as much, and make sure you take that picture because that's really going to save you if you end up, you know, pieces falling off or you get distracted and things like that. You want to make sure that you kind of can get back to where you were. Okay, so on this one, okay, let me just see. Let me flip this over on me here. See, I need to be careful. See, I can easily go the wrong way. See, make sure that you are sewing on the right side. All right, so here we are, about a 1/2 inch. There we go, right sides together. I'm putting it underneath my machine here. And once again, stretch that bottom. All right, you want to do the first couple of stitches, and then I'm gonna stretch and line them up as best I can. Okay, and then kind of get to that 1/4 inch mark. Do it nice and slow. And then just go ahead and do it again. And you know what? I did it on the wrong side. See, guys? Yes, I make mistakes too, guys. I've sewed it on the wrong side. It's okay. That's what the seam ripper's for, right? Yeah, we can play that little song, right? Sure, why not? Yeah, we're definitely doing that. So let's unpick this, no big deal. And guys, when you're using your seam rippers, I know a lot of people, you know, they are not even sure how to use a seam ripper if they're totally new. They can sit here and you'll pick every single one. And you can do that, but you'll be here for a while. So, oh boy, Miss Ray said that anytime a seam ripper is mentioned, he's going to play the Unsung Hero song. Oh boy. So the way I like to do is I like to pick out the first couple of stitches here until I can get underneath here, and then I'll pull it here. See how those just kind of came out? Of course, he's not showing. There we go. Mr. H getting in trouble. He's chatting away again. So I'll do this again. Okay, so I will pick off the first couple of stitches just to give myself some room here. And then I will open it up and just pull it and get underneath. And so now I'm able to kind of pull my seam ripper with the little ball on the bottom and then just hold my 2 fabrics together and just pull. And that's it. That's how you get it done. So I know there's a lot of beginners out there that are not too sure, and they'll sit there and pick out every single stitch. I've seen people do that. And I just think that you can do it that way, but you're going to be there all day. So just go ahead and use the little ball, because the little ball is what, you know, is supposed to protect your fabric from ripping. So that's what that's for. Okay. So I flipped this one over, and then I forgot to flip this. So here we are, right sides together. Let's try this one more time. This time we are lined up correctly. And I'm going to go ahead and put this underneath my foot here. And we're going to take a couple of stitches. Okay, now once again, pulling on this fabric. And I'm going to line up my top fabric to meet my bottom fabric. And I'm going to go ahead and sew that down, trying to stay on that 1/4 inch line. And again, this is not a race. This is one of those things that has to be done slowly. Okay, you're not wanting to trying to sew all the way down. So just line up as best you can. If you can get it on that 1/4 inch mark, great. You may be a little bit off, and it's okay. It's all going to be fine. And then as you get towards this end piece, where'd my little chopstick go? You can use your stiletto, you can use your chopstick, you can use whatever you have on hand. It just makes it a little hard to keep this little piece lined up here. And you want to keep that towards the very end. Okay, so here we are. We've got our second piece. Okay, and you can see here how it's kind of standing up on its own there, right? And all you're doing is laying this flat. Now, the seam allowance naturally will want to bend towards the inside of your circle. And that's totally fine, because when you go to iron it, that's how I'm going to iron it down. So you see how it's kind of nicely lays flat there, because you've got that nice curve, and it really just makes it so easy for you to just kind of press that later, right? I'll do all my pressing later on tonight, so I'm going to just put this now back onto my design board so I don't lose my place. And then I'm just going to go ahead and grab the next one. And so you're just going to kind of keep going through this little motion. Just remember, you always want to do right sides together, and you always want to start off at about a 1/2 inch from the top. And then don't forget to pull that bottom fabric so that you can get it as straight as you can. Okay, now you're not pulling it like tugging it like there's no tomorrow. Like you want it to be straight, but you don't want to like really tug and stretch it and warp it, right? Just kind of bend it as much as you can till it becomes as straight as you can get it. Okay, so this project is pretty it's pretty friendly in terms of mistakes and stuff like that. So it's not too bad. So don't be afraid of it. So go ahead and just do a couple more stitches. And again, stretching the bottom and having my top fabric meet it over here. Get it as close as I can to that 1/4 inch line, but it's fine. And then just kind of repeat the process until you get to the end. Okay. And I'm getting towards the end. Getting that stiletto in place. Still not right. Boy, my fingers are having such a hard time working today. They don't want to move. They don't want to do what I want it to. There we go. Very hard time today, but there we go. Nice and flat. Seam nice and flat. See that? We haven't even pressed it. It's already behaving. So I'm going to put that on the end and then just keep going. So if you guys are doing this project, not sure what step you're on, hopefully you've done all your cutting and you're ready to just start piecing this together and putting it on your design board. Don't rush the process. But after a while, you're going to just want to keep changing it and changing it. Just try to, you know, at some point, just stop and say, go with it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I must have that seam ripping technique, raising my hand. You're going to have to rewatch on that seam ripping technique. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I read them from the books is really where I got that. And a lot of people, you know, they don't really show seam ripping, right? A lot of the crafting channels, they don't really show how they seam rip their stuff. And a lot of people will sit there and they will pick out every single stitch And you really don't need to do that. You just have to know, you know, the seam ripper that you have. Some of them have the little balls on the end, but some of the cheaper ones don't. So you do have to be a little careful because you don't want to rip your fabric. And that can happen if you don't do it correctly. So you can be a little, and I think people are a little nervous about that, and so because of that, they do it one by one. But you really don't need to. You really don't need to. You just do a couple of stitches just to open it up a little bit so you can get the seam ripper inside. And where did it go? Here it is. Once you get it inside, this little ball again is going to protect your fabric. That's what prevents it from ripping. So you don't want to do it like this, okay? Because this is the really sharp, pointy side, and this can pierce your fabric, right? Just like that. See how it goes right through? It's sharp enough that it'll pierce it, and then it'll go ahead and rip it. Because now if you have it this way, you're going to be ripping that bottom piece. So you don't want to do that. You want to kind of hold it the correct way with the ball on the bottom that's protecting. That's the whole purpose of this little ball, is to protect that fabric underneath. And so you want to go ahead, just do a couple stitches to get it in here, and then line it up, and then just pull. And as you pull, it's going to be bringing the fabric over to that top end, and you see how it'll just start to cut right there. So you want to make sure you do that, and then just pull. And you don't have to pull and yank the whole thing the whole time. You just pull as much as you can, then stop. You can open up the fabric, and that'll release all of the stitches that you had, and then you just go back in, do a couple more stitches, and pull again. And so you get to the end of whatever you're seam ripping. So yeah, it's just that a lot of people don't show that, and I'm not sure why. But for someone who's new to sewing, they may not know that, you know, and so they'll sit there and pull out every single stitch. So I know I did that in the beginning, and it was like, God, why do I have to keep doing this? And then I just kept reading, and I ran into it. I don't remember if it was an article or one of my sewing books or whatever. Proper way to use a seam ripper. Yeah. Who knew, right? All right, so I went ahead and did another one here, and that's going to be here. And so I'm just going to keep going along. I've already got my first design board all done, except for this top one here that I don't have anything. This is what's going to be on this side, is basically the background. So that needs to be sewn in on the top. So right here, as you can see here, all of my pieces are now sewn in. So now it kind of shrunk down. See how it gets a little smaller? I still have to go in and I have to trim these. And then once I've trimmed them to size, then after I've done all of these, we're going to start piecing them together. And that's when we'll start lining them up and just checking to see how everything kind of comes together. So we'll start to see this come together a little bit more probably tomorrow. Tonight I'm going to finish sewing all of these together. I'm going to have all of my circles pieced together, and then I'm going to start squaring them up, and then we'll start piecing them together. And I'll show you how I square that up tomorrow, and then we'll do a little bit of piecing. So I'll try to have some of it done so it's not like a full-blown just watching me, you know, square things up. Thank you for taking the time to show and explain. Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. Guys, if you ever have a question on something, just let me know, and I know I'll do the best I can. If I don't know the answer, I'll research it. I've got plenty of books, I can tell you that. Alrighty, I guess we're at the end of our hour already. I can't believe it flew by so fast, but I want to go ahead and leave you guys with the inspirational quote of the day. So let's go ahead and get that going. Okay, so for today's inspirational quote of the day is, "Some may love your project, others may not, but what matters is that you do." That's exactly correct. Because I can go round and round trying to pick out the design on the perfect tree, but at the end of the day, I just have to love it for how I do it, right? And, you know, if others love it, great. If not, it's okay, because it's my project. So I'm not going to worry about it and stress out over it. So don't stress out over the fabrics. Don't stress out over the design. It's going to come out amazing either way. All right. Well, thank you guys all for all your support. I really hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope everyone here is able to spend a little bit of time, just a little, in their craft room and get some stuff done because, you know, holidays are coming pretty fast. So get to it and stop procrastinating. All right, guys, thank you again for all your support. Have a fantastic day, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.